What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Chopping It Up with P. It's been a minute. It's been a couple weeks. So I really am grateful to be back with you guys. I really am grateful to get back on from the camera and talk to y'all. I did miss y'all. I know y'all miss me too. So I can feel the connection. Appreciate y'all for all the love so far and everything. I really do see it. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so we're back. We're back, and it's been a couple weeks. Um, Needed to figure out some things. But we're back to the grind. Back to the grind. Back to be consistent. And I hope to see y'all here every single week. Okay? So today we're gonna talk about the things nobody prepared us for. Okay? First of all, when you were a kid, a lot of adults, our parents, could be our grandparents, could be our uncles and aunties, they spent years preparing us for school, right? They spent years preparing us for college. They spent years preparing us getting a job, you know. But nobody prepares you for actually living. And we're gonna dive into that today. Okay. Um, Growing up doesn't feel like you thought it would. I definitely feel like when we were younger, we imagine adulthood as this moment where everything clicks. You know what I'm saying? You get a job, you know, work your normal 9 to 5, right? Come back to the crib, wake up, your normal 9 to 5, right? Come back to the crib, do this and do that. And then you have your whole the rest of your day ahead of you. You can do whatever you want, hang out with the girlfriend, hang out with the guys, and all that stuff. I feel like getting a job is pretty basic. Getting a job is something that we were not necessarily prepared to do, but like we kind of fit into it. We got a job, you got a couple of experiences before you get your real job. You know what I'm saying? Making money. You know, when we were younger, they didn't really like teach us this in a way. Like it was more of like, okay, this is what you do. You probably did a couple of things growing up. Like you did your dishes, right? Or you did your um you mowed the lawn for someone. Or you were a little package man around the block. You know what I'm saying? There were all these little things that you could do to make some bread. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, now you have freedom, right? Now that you're in college or that you left college, now you have freedom. You get to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do. Again, that's your job. That's going out with your friends. That's partying. That's all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what you're doing to a certain extent as of life right now. You know, I think even as of right now, whether I think from your early 20s to sometimes late 20s, I think a whole life really, I feel like we're still figuring it out. And in a sense of like the way you figure out, the way you're still figuring out stuff at 20 is not the same way you're going to figure out stuff at 30. Because between 20 and 30, you're going to go through a lot of fucking shit. But as every time and everything goes on, you figure out stuff small by small, right? And you build all those experiences and you build on those things that happen. You know what I'm saying? That's how you figure out stuff. You got to get to look around and realize everyone else is guessing. You know what I'm saying? Everyone else is trying to figure out this shit. Everyone else is trying to put their best foot forward at things. You know what I'm saying? People are actively trying to fail and failing at things. You know what I'm saying? People are actively trying to get better. You know what I'm saying? Life is not this roses and straight line you thought it will always be. Oh, it's gonna be like this. I'm gonna get into college. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna get married. No. You know what I'm saying? You'll get into college. You may leave for a couple years, come back and finish it. That may be someone's reality, right? You may go into college, get a girlfriend. You think you're gonna marry her. 2 years down the road or a year down the road, break up, right? Meet other people, maybe come back to that same person. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Life is like that. I think for these movies and stuff made it like, okay, life is like this, one step at a time, and it goes like that. It's not like that, bro. It's not. It's not the perfectly straight how you think it is. It's all these zigzags, all these things that make us us, that bring us into this moment, which is every time that we take a step forward. Every time that we learn something from taking that step forward. If you guys get what I'm trying to say. Calling your parents and realizing they don't have all the answers either was a big thing. I think even rather than right now or later down the road, you call your parents for advice. Not all the time. It's not all the times that sometimes you don't want to call your parents for advice because you don't want to hear the lecture. I can't lie. That's true. But that's more, I feel that's more true like with the younger days, even maybe the later days, but especially right now, for the younger crowd. You don't want to call your parents because you don't want to hear the lectures. You don't want to hear all this, and that. But those lectures kind of define those single moments that you're in. Sometimes, if you really take a second to understand why they're saying what they're saying, it makes sense, you know? So calling your parents and realizing they don't have all the answers either is a shock, right? Because they are human like you. They've been through shit. They don't know everything. Definitely was a shock for me because it's like someone you definitely looked up to for a long time. Whether that's your parents or that's your aunt, your grandmother, they probably don't have all the answers. That's okay. But again, you're going through these things for a reason, and you're gonna figure it out. Again, life is not this straight and narrow. It's all these zigzags that make life worth living. All right, stop. I thought adults knew everything growing up. I really did. Then I became an adult and realized we're all just trying not to mess up. We're trying to live life every day as it is. Take what's coming to us and do what we can with it. Take our time with things. You know what I'm saying? Not everything has to be done in a rush. Not everything has to be done right now. But also don't put off things you can do today, you know, to do tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing. Nobody becomes an adult overnight. Again, it's all of these little things that we do or these experiences that we have that you slowly get better at. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes some people might say you slowly get better at pretending. You know, growing up isn't one moment. Again, it's all of these little moments in life, all these thousands of little moments in life where you realize that you're on your own and you can do this. But again, each and every single one of these things has a purpose and a defining moment in your life. So don't take everything with a grain of salt. Some things, yes, you can take with a grain of salt because they're not that serious. But every little thing has a purpose. Some maybe bigger than others, but every little thing has a purpose. Y'all got to remember that, okay? I think friendships change more than relationships, for sure. You know, this is something almost everyone relates to, right? Nobody warns you that friends move away. When I was growing up, fool, I didn't even think I was gonna move away. I was sitting my ass in Africa, bro. One day, bloop, I'm in America. All the people I knew back then, I don't see them anymore. It's not till later down the line when I got a phone, social media, then I could then I found them on Instagram. Obviously got their numbers. Instagram, Snapchat, the whole deal. You know, so no one warns you that friends move away growing up. You know, that was something we weren't ready for. We kind of had to get accustomed to it. You know, people get busy. You kind of tend to see that like over the course of life and growing up, and no one told you that, but people do get busy. You know what I'm saying? Their life priorities become more than your friendship, obviously, come before your friendship, and that may cause distance. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that's a cause of like themselves. It's just what it is right now. That's life. Some friendships fade without drama. Even though sometimes friendships can be broken up because of drama or fade away because of drama, that's not always the case. It just comes down to the fact that, maybe y'all just not compatible anymore, or maybe that life is taking y'all different directions. And that's completely okay. That's fine. You just gotta be content and okay with that, you know? Um, you'll have to make new friends again. That's something you always gotta be content with. I definitely feel like in this life is, you always gotta make new friends. You always gotta have the good aspects of look out into things. Because this shit ain't for the weak. This ain't no normal shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Bro, every single day, and I would say like majority of the time, like a lot of times, you're going to lose friends, and that's okay. Just know that like every single time it happens, whether it's a good or bad reason, whether it's your fault or someone else's fault, whatever the reason is, there's always a silver lining. There's always good and bad to take away. On your part, what you did, if you did or didn't do anything, take away from the experience and move on. You know what I'm saying? Again, these are things that are going to make us better in life. But again, remember that maybe all of this happened for a reason. Maybe they're not meant to be in your life anymore. So remember that. It's weird that someone can go from seeing you every day to once or twice a year. No one prepares you for that. You know, again, coming from a different country, the people who I thought I knew my whole life, I didn't see them for a long time. When I first moved to America, I'm gonna go back to Ivory Coast for like what, 3, 4 years, right? And then into that, I got my phone, and I got a phone, got Instagram, Snapchat, started texting them off that. But it's just crazy. As a kid, you're like, damn, like these are my friends every day. Next day, it's like, yo, where'd they go? You know what I'm saying? People don't prepare you for that. Again, that's life. We're not prepared for these things. Not because anyone did something wrong, life just changes. And it is what it is, and you adapt to it. I think the older you are, obviously easier it is, but the younger you are, it kind of just have these lingering questions. Nobody prepares you for grieving people who are still alive and doing well. You've just grown apart. You're not gonna. No one prepares you for like, oh, this person is going away, this person is going away, or you're not gonna be friends with this person anymore. Cool. Again, whether or not it ended for a good or bad reason, it doesn't really matter. The question that matter is you've just grown apart. Sometimes that just does happen. That's okay. You've run into different people. But sometimes something did happen and that caused you not to be friends anymore. But that's something you got to live with. Again, own your part into it, move on. Right? It is what it is. Life is not perfect. It's not simple. The people who you start with are not the people you're going to end with. And that's for a reason. You got to remember that. Growing apart isn't always a failure. I see growing apart as a strength more than anything, because it's you turning into this person you want to be. If you turning into this person that you want to be doesn't allocate with whoever this friend you had at the time, that's growth. That's not really a loss. You know what I'm saying? Again, you may be friends with them down the line again, but that's really up to God and how this works. You know what I'm saying? But that's not a loss. That's a strength. You know what I'm saying? You grew to be better. That's okay. You grew to be better. But regardless of which, you got to remember that like you're really only lucky to have so many people that unconditionally love you in this life. If you find them, you fight for it. You fight for that. But don't do it at the expense of thinking this is wrong. No, this is right. But again, if it doesn't feel like that, then maybe it's for the best. Sometimes people were meant for just one chapter of your life, not the next one. Some friendships don't end, they just slowly change. Again, that's through habits. That's through who you hang around with. That's through what you do. You used to drink, you don't drink anymore. Probably not gonna frequent those friends as much, or at all. You smoke, you don't smoke no more. Probably not gonna frequent those friends as much. You know what I'm saying? You used to hoop, you don't hoop no more. Probably not gonna frequent those friends as much. You know what I'm saying? It really depends on what it is. I think growing apart isn't a betrayal. Sometimes it's just life. It just is what it is. And you have to accept it for what it is. Okay? I feel like success feels nothing like social media makes it look. And I've talked about this with a friend before, and he told me he feels like success is what he's content with. Your success might look different than someone else's success. Someone else's idea of success, I should say. And here's what I mean by that. Your idea of success might be holding down a job, having a house, a great family, and just being happy in life. That might be your idea of success. Someone else's idea of success might be the Rolexes, the mansions, the hoes, all of that. The parties, the club, whatever. That's all the big money. Those are two different types of lives. You know what I'm saying? So their idea of success looks different than yours, right? They might think you fail because of that. They might see you as a failure, but that's not it. Your idea of success and I guess your standards are just not the same. The way you view things, the way you view success is not the same, right? We can talk about expectations, for example. People think success means confidence, happiness, stability, freedom. You know, people even successful people question themselves. The biggest people in the world sitting here in this position question themselves about these things. They still don't know shit. They still don't know. They still don't know everything. They're still learning like we are every single day. You know, it kind of discusses an imposter syndrome, right? Comparing yourself to others, right? Thinking everyone is ahead. You know what I'm saying? While we're just normally trying to figure out our lives every single fucking day, like you are. You know what I'm saying? So don't think it's like, oh, these guys are playing. No, again, maybe your version of viewing things is not the same, right? Their picture of success is all of these things. Yours is not. You may be more content with the normal lifestyle. They might not be. That's cool. Is that a reason why you might grow apart? Perhaps. Does it have to be? Not necessarily. Could just depend, right? I think the internet makes success looks like this big moment, this one big moment. But in reality, bro, it's a bunch of ordinary days when you keep showing up for yourself. The success that you have today is because of you. No one else. You. The reason why you're in this position today is because of you. No one else. You. Right? Whether that's from your parents or whatever, they put you in the conditions that you are based on what they have. What you do with those conditions are up to you. You know what I'm saying? You can't sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna compare myself to this person." You don't know what they did to get there. You don't see all the bullshit or shit they went through to get there. How many grinds, how many nights they started grinding before you did. You can't put yourself in those shoes. Their success is not worth the same as yours. Again, because probably on a different path. You know what I'm saying? Been doing this a longer time, no matter what it is. The reason why you are where you are today is because of yourself. You got to understand that. Everything happens because of what you do. Everything happens because of what you do. You got to understand that. It's literally just you showing up every single fucking day for yourself. Waking up, this is what I got to do to be 1% better today. And that's never going to change. The biggest people in this life that are doing what they're doing today, that doesn't change for them. Waking up, working out. Okay, I got to do this today. 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 For myself. Before you do the things in your life that gets you to where you want to be. Showing up for yourself every single day. You have to keep showing up. Success is a lot less glamorous than Instagram makes it seem. You see the cars, you see the jewelry, you see the nightlife, you see the partying, you see all that on Instagram. But what are these motherfuckers doing behind the scenes that you don't see? They're staying up, catching flights hella late just to get to, to another part of the country to do this or do that because doing what they got to do, you know what I'm saying? Waking up at 5 a.m. You don't see that. You just see the glamorous, successful life on the gram. But again, those are steps you take behind the scenes that people don't see. Again, that's you showing up every single motherfucking day. That doesn't change. That the grind doesn't change. Remember that. Everybody wants to highlight. Nobody talks about the boring middle. You want the glamorous shit on what's that big ass shit in New York? That big ass screen in Times Square. You want all that. You want all the fans. You want all of this. You want all of that. You want the car. You want the AMG. You want this. You want that. All the boring shit you did to get there. You showing up every day to work, tired as fuck, putting in the work, this, and that, showing up for yourself every day. People don't see that. They see you when you buy the car. They see you when you buy the jewelry, right? But all that middle shit, no one sees. That's you and God, fool. So every single day, if you can pull yourself up every single day, and this is what I gotta do today, every single fucking day, that shit is the best thing you can do for yourself. As long as you're content with going to bed every single day, knowing that you got 1% better today, that's all that matters. None of the other shit. I swear to God. I swear to God. As long as you're content with the person you are today, with all your morals and stuff, and everything you did that day to get 1% better for you, that's all that matters. Nobody tells you how much time you spent waiting, too. This is something people don't think about. You gotta wait for replies. Job opportunities. Can't lie. The job market is crazy right now. You apply for something like in January. Probably won't get an answer till March. Even if you get an answer, some follow-up questions, not even an interview. You know what I'm saying? Job market is crazy right now. Weekend plans. When you're growing up, I think now that we've grown up a little more, we see that life is a little more busy. So linking up is harder. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's weekend to weekdays, planning those trips and everything. Those are harder. Being in each other's lives may be a little hard. Again, based on where you live and all that type of stuff. Vacations are a little more harder to plan. Everyone got a different schedule. To plan a vacation, you have to be on everyone's schedule. When is everyone free? You know what I'm saying? For how long is everyone free? Where do you want to go? How much is this going to cost? You have to plan that shit in advance. Ain't no one tell me that. When I was a kid, bro, that says, we're going to France. Next day, I'm free. I'm going to France. And I have a fucking job, obviously. Now that we got jobs and we do what we do every day, job opportunities, weekend plans, vacations, all of that is hard to plan. You know what I'm saying? Got to get on everyone's schedule, not just yours. You know what I'm saying? The next paycheck, I'm telling y'all, the next paycheck is crazy, bro. Let me tell y'all something. You get paid every other week. I don't know how your jobs work, but you get paid every other week for me. The week where you don't get paid, I feel like I'm gonna die. Like, the bread is just slowly leaving my account, and there's no other bread coming in until the next week, bro. So that's when you gotta innovate. That's when you gotta save. You know what I'm saying? That's when you gotta invest. You know what I'm saying? Life doesn't prepare you for that. Life doesn't tell you that every 2 weeks you get paid. Life doesn't tell you that the week where you don't get paid is the longest week of the fucking year, fam. They don't tell you that. The longest week of the year is the week you don't get paid, fam. It's the week you don't get paid, fam. Hey man, it's all good though. We learn. The next chapter of your life, is something we wait on. I think as humans, we have chapters in our lives. Maybe however chapter we may have in this life, whatever the chapters are. But the next chapter is a long way. You need to figure out and finish this chapter before you can get to the next. Now, maybe getting to the next chapter is harder than you may think. You just have to live more, or you might have to go through a little more shit to understand the shit in the next chapter. But everything that we do in this chapter helps us to get through the next. Remember that. Life isn't constant excitement. It's all the little shit in between that makes it worthwhile. It's patience. Nobody tells you adulthood is mostly waiting for stuff. Mostly waiting for stuff. And deciding who you're going to be while you're waiting. Who are you going to be while you're waiting for that next paycheck? Who are you going to be while you're waiting for those weekend plans? Who are you going to be while you're waiting for that vacation, for that job opportunity? All of that wasn't planned, wasn't taught us. That's something we figure out on the fly every single day, just like any single day in life. Life isn't built in the big moments, It's built in the ordinary ones. The ones that are just normal like anything else. The moments that you're content with in this life are probably the most ordinary moments every single day. I swear to God. Patience might be the most underrated life skill. When you wait for things, and my dad always tells me this, I rush a lot of shit. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I do. I rush a lot of shit. I'm just an impatient motherfucker, and that's okay. And I'm working on that. I'm not perfect, but patience lets you get to these things. Patience lets you understand why things took time. It lets you be present in the moment and live in the moment. That's when you make those memories. That's when you get to understand this and this. You get to really flourish in that moment and just live every single day and be content with who you are every single day. Patience is a skill. Not a lot of people got patience for a lot of things. But once you get patience, I think you really start to understand a lot of these things slowly, slowly, slowly. You know, everyone looks like they're ahead. You know, we talk about when you open social media. You know, you probably don't got a Benz. This guy got a Benz, right? All that shit he did to get the Benz, you don't know though. Remember that. Someone got engaged. Shit, you probably don't got a girlfriend. Probably don't even got a boyfriend. Probably don't even got time for that. That's okay. The time is coming. You know what I'm saying? Someone bought a house. You probably don't even got a money for a crib. You know what I'm saying? He's probably still living with his parents. That's okay. You don't know what they did to get that shit. Someone started a business. You don't know how many times they fucked up or screwed up before starting that business. You know what I'm saying? Before wanting to get even thought of starting that business. You know, someone's traveling all the time. You know what I'm saying? No one sees the work you put in behind the scenes to get your ass to travel. You know, someone got promoted at their job. You don't see how many hours they're putting to get promoted. Getting promoted is a bitch. It takes a lot of time and hard work, motherfucker. It does. It does. You never see the bad days. You never see the doubts. You never see their failures. All you see is the good shit that happens. But remember, the good shit is just as good as the bad shit, because the bad shit made you into the good shit. You feel me? The bad shit prepared you for the good shit. The bad shit, the failing and shit, the bad days and all that prepared you for who you are today. You gotta remember that. Remember who you were in those bad moments so you can be even better in the better moments. Comparison is weird, bro, because you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You can't compare your behind the scenes to someone's big ass achievement. It's not the same. Obviously not the fucking same. There's the highlight reel, gang. Here's the behind the scene work. You know what I'm saying? You can't see the behind the scenes because you're not them. You know what I'm saying? So be content in where you are and who you are right now. And move on every single day because it matters to where you want to be in this life. You know, I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Let me know in the comments though how y'all feel about this. How many times have you felt behind because of something you saw for 30 seconds online? Let me know. Let me know, okay? Feeling behind doesn't mean you're behind, okay? You gotta remember that. Everyone's timeline looks perfect until you actually talk to them. Everyone's timeline looks perfect until you actually talk to them and be like, yo, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? Hell no, bro. They started 6 months ago, maybe 6 years ago, whatever the time it is. You know what I'm saying? Don't compare these shits, bro. Do what you gotta do for yourself in your life. Okay? The beautiful things nobody prepared us for, guys. Okay? I want to talk about the things no one really prepared us for. Okay? Meeting people who completely change your life. I think we don't mention that enough. Meeting people that completely change our outtakes on life is insane. Like the randomest people you meet on the strip or when you go out, you know what I'm saying, randomly change your life. They make you have that good day. They just to thank you or the hi, how you're doing, or the opportunity you might get at work, that changes your life. You know what I'm saying? You might be having the worst day in the world, bro, but just because someone opened the door for you or said thank you when you did this, that can change your day. And those things end up changing your life, depending on what they are. You know what I'm saying? You kind of realize your confidence grows over time. That's the beautiful thing nobody prepared us for. You know what I'm saying? Your confidence does grow over time. We were all chopped. No, we're not chopped. Chopping it up with Pete. That was a pun. Y'all saw that? Okay. Y'all saw that. Looking back and see how far you've come, that's not some we're prepared for. When you get to where you want to be in this life, you get to look back at all the bullshit that happened. Again, the behind the scenes, the bad days, all that shit. Times you fucked up more than once. You get to look back at that shit and be like, damn, this is really where I came from, fool. I did this shit. This is me. For me, you create memories you'll never forget. I'm telling y'all, live in the moment. Live in the moment. Like, live in these moments because these memories are what you're going to take in this life. When you die, you don't take shit but what you got, but your soul. The bread doesn't go with you. We die at the end of this. You gotta remember, we die at the end of life, bro. So like, bro, all this little dumb shit is like, it's not worth it, bro. You know what I'm saying? The memories that we make are worth it. That's what we take with us. That's our soul. All the memories, the character, the person you are, that's what you take with you, bro. Not the bread, not the girls, none of that. Remember that. The memories of what they are. Live in the moment. Finding purpose in unexpected places. You might like to volunteer at an old people home. You might find purpose in that because you're helping people in a place where you feel needed. You know what I'm saying? That's something no one prepared us for. That's something you probably didn't know you needed until you needed it, until you were there in that placement. Laughing harder than you thought was possible. Someone no one prepared us for in those moments. Again, right? Becoming someone your younger self would admire is something no one prepared us for. I can look back at my little self and be like, damn, this is what I became today. I'm doing this because I want to be where I gotta want to be in this life. You know what I'm saying? I'm choosing that. I'm choosing to do that every single day. That's a choice. That's beautiful. You know, for every difficult thing nobody prepared us for, there's a beautiful thing nobody prepared you for either. Remember that. Okay? Every difficult thing nobody prepared you for, there's a beautiful thing nobody prepared you for either. Just like every action has a reaction. Okay? Same exact thing. Life surprises you in good ways too. You gotta remember that. A lot of shit happens. Life surprises you with bad shit all the time. But if you stay down and work on yourself and do what you have to do to get you where you want to be, life surprises you in a lot of very good ways too. You know, some of the best moments in your life haven't happened yet. You know, for whatever reason, maybe you're not taking that step, maybe you're not taking that leap. However old you are, some of the best moments in your life haven't happened yet. So staying content, stay in the memories, stay in the moment every single day. Work on that shit every single day. You know what I'm saying? Today I have a segment, guys. I have a segment called Nobody Told Me. Rapid fire questions, and I'm a finishing sentence, okay? And I'm gonna invite y'all to comment your own, okay? Nobody told me making friends as an adult would be this hard. Okay? Nobody told me grocery shopping would be this. Y'all got the drift? Okay, here are the real ones. So I'm gonna start. Nobody told me da 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 da, and then y'all finish it. Okay, but I want y'all to put some in the comments as well. Okay, nobody told me free time becomes valuable. If y'all got that one right. Nobody told me your parents get older. Nobody told me weekends feel shorter every year. Nobody told me saying no would become important. Nobody told me peace is actually exciting. Okay? Put some in the comment section. All right? Nobody told me da 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 da. Okay? Guys, this is the real take from this. And I want y'all to really understand the purpose of this video. Maybe nobody prepared us because you can't teach someone how to live. You can't teach someone how to live life. Life comes at you. You can get advice from people. They can point you in the right directions, but they can't tell you how to live your life. They can't prepare you how to live your life. A lot of shit in life comes at you sideways like a motherfucker. And you have to pivot and learn and understand and take away from that situation. So maybe nobody prepared us because you can't teach someone how to live. You have to experience this shit to understand this shit. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is still figuring things out. You know, some people are just quieter about it. The people you look up to probably feel just as lost at times as you are. So when you're lost, it's okay. Nobody has life mastered. We're all first-time humans. Okay? It's okay. Maybe that's the point, right? Maybe life isn't about having all the answers. It's about collecting experiences that slowly become wisdom at one point. That you can look back, look at it, and explain and give that wisdom to someone else. That way they can use it. You know, Nobody prepared us for all this shit. But somehow we're still figuring it out together every single day, right? I appreciate y'all for chopping up with me today. If this episode hits home, send it to someone who's still figuring it out life too. Okay. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Episodes are back every single week. I'm sorry. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, but I'm back. I'm in love with this more than ever. And this is really what I truly love to do. Okay, and I'm gonna show up for y'all every single week, just like you show up for me. So again, I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one. All right, stay safe, stay curious, be grateful. Always remember, you're not behind. All right, stay safe, y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one.